Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. Today, we'll be talking something very important, and it's about a video of Jen Elliott spreading around like it's all over social media, people stitching, tagging, and all that, and not having it because, like, she actually did this during Black History Month, and a lot of people think that she is a chameleon, and that is also how I feel. And the fact that Jen Elliott was in a room full of different people, different races, and all that, she was talking about anti-racism and all that, right? For her to also be racism towards people that look like me, and she used the N-word with a hard R. And she is also trying to defend it, saying that I said it for him. And then went further to gaslight the young man who called her out on what she did, saying that how dare you, how dare you focus on just this, of all the things that I have said, you did not pick any, it's just this one that you are focusing on. And she went further to ask them, are you guys uncomfortable? Do you feel uncomfortable or some kind of way with the word that I use? And also people of color were there and they said they are okay. Just that young palm colored boy, man, that called her out. And now this really boils down to us saying that we really do not have ally and that it's on period. The earlier we learn to understand this, the better for us. Let's get into this video.
Jane Elliott said the N-word during Black History Month, and I was the only person in that room who called her out. And I finally got the footage. Here it is.
I've been called angry a lot.
You've been called what?
Angry a lot.
Oh, I thought you said I was going to say that. And I was going to correct you for that.
No, I don't.
What?
You were saying not to refer to people as black or white. How do we bring attention to the disparities?
Stop saying it.
But
And then they're going to say to you, I want to be called black. And then you're going to say, you want to be called vicious and savage and evil? I can do that for you. You want me to call your child vicious and savage and evil? Do you know the history of that word? Because if you don't know the history of that word and why it's used, and maybe that's the reason you're willing to use it. Once you hear the history of the word, I think you'll say to yourself, this is a good idea. I don't want to call them black because it's a derogatory term. I know that for years it was seen as a derogatory term, so young blacks decided they'd be called black. Well, no, it's still a derogatory term. That's still the history of that word. And it still means that you are less than. Because white means goodness and purity, people. And if black means savagery and evil, which one do you want to be called? Which one do you want to be called?
How can you talk about a word and the history behind it when you just said the N-word, hard R?
I said that to him and for me, not for you to worry about. But you can worry about it if you want to. I never ever say that word, but I said that. Were you offended? No. Don't be offended for him. He can be offended for himself. You don't have to look for him. You understand that? He and I have met and have talked, and he knows where I'm coming from, and I know where he's coming from. And he and I don't see that as a derogatory term. We know exactly what we're talking about.
Wow.
You see it as a derogatory term. You hadn't better use it. If it's a derogatory term to you, don't use it. I ordinarily don't use it. I use it here with that young man. Number one, he's younger than I am, and if he doesn't listen, I'll spank him. Number two, he's bigger than I am, and I'm not going to mess with him. Number three, he and I understand about that word, and we know it is unacceptable. Now, if the only thing you have heard, and all the things I've been saying here, is the word N-I-G-G-E-R, that means you're reacting negatively to that and thinking about that instead of thinking about all the rest of what I've said. While these people were listening,
Yeah.
and you were feeling bad about the N-word.
Yeah, I feel like any realistic, genuine reaction, I feel like everybody in this room heard you say hard R, maybe not everybody, and they were horrified.
No.
No?
No.
No.
Why don't you speak for yourself, dear?
Now, what you probably weren't able to tell from that video is I have terrible social anxiety. So I was trying not to cry the whole time, and I was in complete shock. I mean, I feel like most people would be when the famous activist Jane Elliott is scolding them in front of a whole group of people, agreeing with her that she, as a white woman, can say the N-word. As you heard her say in that clip, saying that black people are black is offensive due to the history and context behind that word. and then she says the N-word. The hypocrisy is glaring. Hi, this is an update from Future Preston, who got that video, it got brutal. Not by me. I just want to, I think I should really clarify some of my reasoning behind posting that video, because I think so much was lost on that. So the people who are in my life who are black explained to me that they wanted me to not only low battery, but they wanted me, that they were glad that I said something. There were black people in that room who were glad that I said something. There are black people that I've never even met who I saw in the comments of the previous video were glad that I said something. There were black people who reached out to me that said, hey, I think in that context that was acceptable. I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. I'm here to say Jane Elliott said that. Everything I've been taught post-indoctrination tells me that what she said wasn't okay. I hope that clarifies. Jane Elliott said the N-word during Black History Month.
Let me just say this. I don't put faith in no allies that stand with the black community. I say this all the time. They switch like light switch. For real. And the thing is, Jane Elliott is the same woman who I believe went to like Oprah show and was talking about the blue eyes and brown eyes test to demonstrate how, black people or people of color are treated by white people. And then people started inviting her to the cookouts, saying that we must protect this white lady at all costs, just cheering her on, all things like that. But my thing is, why do y'all hype up people for doing the right thing? She was supposed to do that because she is a white woman with privilege. So she should use her privilege wisely, such as protect minority. This is why I don't praise people for doing bare minimum stuff for the black community at all. I just don't, because they end up feeling like they could come into our space or into any space at that and talk any kind of way. Like, this woman felt so comfortable saying the N-word without any hesitation on anybody trying to hold accountable for it, besides that guy video that I stitched. It's insane to me. Stop inviting people to the cookout. Stop cheering people on for speaking up on black issues. Just stop it. Period. They're supposed to do that.
Jane Elliott said the N-word during Black History Month, and I was the only—
I'm sick out of my mind, so excuse my appearance and my voice, but this came up on my For You page, and very rarely do I ever feel the need to actually stitch a video. But after watching it, I was just so infuriated that I felt the need to say something. Now, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. For me, the alarming part was not the fact that it's during Black History Month. There's a lot of things happen year round, let alone during Black History Month, so that was not the part that got me by the throat. It was the gaslighting for me. If you didn't get to watch it, essentially, Jane is having a conversation with the group and is talking to an individual that's off screen. We can't see what this person looks like. I'm going to assume they're black, but they don't have to be. We don't know. Jane says the N-word to them with the hard R, okay? And then this individual that I am stitching the video of, I couldn't find their name anywhere, but this individual decides to speak up and is let me clock you on that real fast. And when called out, Jane looks at that person, looks at the individual that's off screen and is like, did I offend you? And the person quickly says, no. But the individual, again, that I'm stitching, decided to stand 10 toes. And I just feel like it's important for us to discuss this. You cannot call yourself an ally if in situations like that, no matter who that person is, no matter what kind of platform they have, no matter how many followers they have, no matter how long they've been on this damn earth, you cannot call yourself an ally if you're not going to stand up for that bullshit. Everyone else in that room, I have so many choice words, but, without wanting to be called an angry black woman on the internet, I just want to say that, you should be really ashamed of yourself. Now, the individual that I'm stitching also made a comment later on in the video and was like, hey, I think that everyone in the room felt, offended or uncomfortable. And everyone in the room gaslit them, so bad. They were like, no, I didn't feel uncomfortable. That's a problem. And it shows you how normalized someone who is not black using that word is. Now, on the other hand, you may be watching and you're like, okay, but the person who is off screen said they weren't offended. So what's up? The thing for me is that I used to do that as a kid. As a kid, I would be in a super crazy, uncomfortable situation and someone would say that word and I would be like, oh, I'm fine. Meanwhile, I was so infuriated, so uncomfortable, and it was just because I didn't know what to say or I was intimidated by the person saying it. Now you may be like, well, if Jane didn't know that they were offended, like what did you want her to do? Jane is a teacher, a lecturer, and a diversity trainer. She has a super viral video of her giving a lecture actually where she asks everyone in this like arena. She's like, hey, who here wants to switch lives with a black person? And like no one raises their hand. And then she's like, see, because you guys know, what's happening to these people, right? But like you would never want to trade spots with them. So baby, she knows what the N-word means. She knows what the N-word means. She knows the weight behind it. She knows she knows all the stuff in it, right? That's her job. That's what she studied. So the person who said that they weren't offended shouldn't have even had to say that. We shouldn't even have to have that interaction. What should have happened is she should have said, I'm wrong and I'm sorry. And you know what? Maybe heat a moment, whatever. I shouldn't have said that. And she should have immediately like took that back. But instead she stood 10 toes. She was like, I said what I said. And then gaslit this individual. Also in the video, she uses so many negative terms to associate with the word black. And I think that is such a harmful, negative take on looking at race, first of all, face value. But how are you going to describe a word with such a negative connotation when you know that so many people actually use that word to represent themselves? For example, surprise, I am black and I am proud. I come from a lineage of beautiful black people, point blank, period. And never, ever would I use something negative to describe black people. And if that is how she views the word black, then perhaps, I don't know, food for thought, her credibility should be shot. If you take anything away from this video, I hope that this serves as a real reminder of what being an ally actually looks like. And I'll leave you with an example. Now, I want you to imagine that you're at a family barbecue and you have an uncle that is known to get drunk and then start saying crazy things. On this specific evening, your uncle decides to say, oh my gosh, I saw this picture of this girl. She looks so attractive. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, like who are we talking about? And he pulls up a photo of a 13-year-old girl. Now you look disgusted, you're uncomfortable because, oh my gosh, he's a pedophile. That's weird. Like that's such an uncomfortable thing for someone to confidently say. And upon making that face, people look at you and they're like, oh, that's just how he is. That's just how he grew up. If you are not the type of person to be like, that's still weird. That makes me uncomfortable. Oh my gosh. What, can we not do that? If that is not you, I think you really need to reevaluate how you are approaching uncomfortable situations. I'll be the first to say that it has taken me some time to be able to call people out on their BS. But at a certain point in time, you can't be just sitting there with the training wheels on. Ride the bike. Because if the situation shifted and all of a sudden your uncle says the N-word, you're not saying a damn thing. And that's a problem. Now, I don't know anything about the creator that I stitched, so if they're problematic or if they're not, I don't know. But I will say, good on them for standing up.
Jane Elliott said the N-word during Black History Month, and I was the only person in...
Honey, social anxiety is super common because of the rush of adrenaline and different things that you get in your body when you have to speak to a room that is hostile to you. So many of us have quote-unquote social anxiety, but we're fine in a group of our friends. We're fine in a sympathetic group. We're fine in an empathetic group. It is just normal fight or flight reaction to a group of barbarians who are willing to socially destroy you to maintain white supremacy. And here's the thing. The weaponization of white woman tears largely relies on the suppression of white expression, right? Tides turned in the abolitionist movement when men and women of all colors, but particularly when white people stopped pretending like the things they saw weren't emotionally devastating. The writings, the actions of the time, they were filled with emotion that was startling because there was such a strong social control on white people to suppress every human empathetic emotion in order to let these evil, destructive, anti-human systems continue. Greed isn't human. Capitalism isn't human. Slavery isn't human. Humans are carers and gardeners. We're collaborative species. The distinction in colorism came about when the Spanish killed off so many natives when they found the New World that they had to go trolling in Africa. And the Vatican got so much money to change 1,000 years of doctrine that said slavery was wrong in order to justify it by color. There is nothing wrong with your feelings or your fear. And the thing is, these people are cowards. Systemic collaborators are deeply afraid. They're followers, and they have tons of cognitive dissonance and privilege. And the thing that they fear the most isn't violence, because they have money and power. They're prepared for that. What they fear is true human response, because they have been so heavily programmed to control and manipulate every feeling in themselves and everything around them. The key to advocacy, and I know this because I've been training this for 20 years and I've been the sole person in many rooms. You know, I had to argue to a crowd of 200 supposed leaders of attorneys, because I'm an attorney, we were selected for this thing. I tried to argue in the age of Trump that we should have a First Amendment festival in the capital of Texas, just to teach people what their First Amendment rights were. You would think in a room full of lawyers where that's our job, it would go over well. It went over so poorly that one of my mentors from law school, who was running the program afterwards, walked me to my car and was like, they're just incapable of that kind of bravery. And the thing is that I was articulate and assertive, and I thought my ideas would prevail. But what I have found in rooms that are deeply one-sided and privileged is not throwing an emotional scene, right? It's not getting overwhelmed. It's letting the core of you permeate and having the argument and refusing to let the crowd control your emotions, because they will do everything to try and control your thoughts and your beliefs and put you down, but they cannot control their human reactions inside them. And if you learn to control your fear and be unafraid of the social repercussions of having real emotions in these situations, you will find that they cannot stand against you. A huge room cannot stand under indoctrination and suppression against one human being with empathy and feelings and logic. Dare them to be more human, and don't turn away. Turn the other cheek, right? Be brave. Take it. Because the thing is they will always take the lesson that fear will be deepened if they're able to cower you and put you in your place. But if they cannot beat your feelings, if you cannot be dominated, even if they dominate the conversation, it's unsettling and it will live in their bones. And it's time that they were afraid. It's time that they second-guessed everything that they are. Not us. We follow compassion and empathy and intuition, and we evolve and we improve and we get better and we learn, and we have remorse for the ways that we failed. We have remorse for the ways that we were wrong, and we correct them, and we have humility, and we continue to strive towards excellence and specialization without ever believing that we'll meet that peak. And that is the substance of life. that these people cannot find because they are trapped in a cage of their own making. Their own privilege deprives them of human existence because white supremacy is deeply inhuman. You've done an excellent job. Excellent. And I hope in the future that you'll worry less about your anxiety and you will let these cowards see how you really feel, because there is so much power in the human heart, and every one of them is programmed with mirror neurons to feel what you feel, no matter how brain dead they are from cognitive programming. They cannot help it. Mirror neurons run through the entire body, including the gut. Weaponize your feelings. Weaponize your heart. Fight. Stop being afraid, because you are loved and supported even if you're in a dangerous room. And there's nothing they can do to you over the power of human community and heart. And we are starting to win. Thank you for being a fighter.
It said the N-word during Black History Month, and I was the only person in that room who called her out.
You see, this is the importance of separating from the group. He chose to call out Jane Elliott, which has a reputation, which is a very influential, high up, high honor person, whatever. I've seen and heard of Jane Elliott as well, despite not having as much power or leverage, despite being one member out of I don't know how many that might have disagreed or might have went against him. But he spoke up and said what was on his heart, mind, and soul to say, to reveal. And if you'll notice in the video, you'll see how Jane sort of warps everything. How she takes the focus really off of what she said and focuses more on how he got that from what she said and was focused on that instead, and how the person that she was talking to didn't seem to have a problem, while missing the point completely. What he said was so very valid, and it took courage to do. Speaking out is powerful. Your voice is needed.
Just said the N-word, hard R.
I said that to him.
So at the end it cuts off, but Jane Elliott says that I said it for him. And this is like a really frustrating situation because the person to call out Jane Elliott is white and also one of my friends. Yet in the room, there's a bunch of people of color in there who also doubled down on Jane Elliott's side. And I'd first like to commend my friend for even saying anything to Jane Elliott, because I know that, I mean, obviously as a white person that's in a room full of people of color not saying anything, that's probably a lot of stress. And personally, me, it's also stressful when things like that happen and I'm a person of color and it's hard for me to call people out. So like, that is a stressful situation. But the fact that Jane Elliott doubled down on it and was like, you're being offended for him. Babe. No, you said the N-word and you're white and you're an activist. That's like the big problem with older people in general. Like when we talk about the women's suffrage movement in like the 1920s, in school when we learn about it, we only get taught about like Susan B. Anthony and like Elizabeth Stanton. But those women were aggressively racist and they were not fighting for every woman's rights. They were fighting for white women's rights, okay? Susan B. Anthony even told Frederick Douglass, if you will not give the whole loaf of justice to the entire people, it should be given to the most intelligent and capable portion of women first. Educated white women. So that brings me back to Miss Jane Elliott over here. Because clearly she has like good intentions and she is progressive for what 1950s, 60s progressive is, right? Which, you know, it's progressive for that. And it's so clear that everyone in the room knew that something was wrong, because you hear when she says the N-word, because she says it hard R, and it just sucks. Like, I'm just here to say that this sucks and that I support my friend and that Jane Elliott is a bitch for that, because what the fuck? And everyone in that room, y'all are sus for siding with her on that one, because clearly there's a problem. Like, I don't need a white person saying N-word hard R for me on my behalf. Like, what is...
When you just said the N-word, hard R.
I said that.
Why are y'all listening to some old white lady about race anyways? Why is this a group of white people sitting in a room talking to a white lady about race? Weirdo. B, did y'all hear the way she said that black means vicious and evil and savage? Those colonizer words right there, babe. Again, everyone that sat in that room are fucking And you're probably racist as fuck.
Jane Elliott said the N-word during Black History Month.
Hey y'all, it's Shanae. Hey Mrs. Bond over at the Twitter sphere. Please go watch this creator's video. Yeah, go watch it and come right back. A couple things. I'm black. I'm a black American. I'm black. Black has an entire social and political history and identity, and it is one that Jane Elliott, who is an ally, does not get to decide or stipulate to black people. So please, white people who are attempting to learn about anti-racism, who are attempting to learn about their own internal biases, like, fact check the things that other people say to you, even other black people, because black is not a stigmatizing term to a lot of black people. It is it's a political and social identity. It is it's a way that we identify within, and that's different. We're not a monolith, but like Jane Elliott doesn't get to decide that for us. Thing number two is that I don't know a single black woman who is shocked by this behavior. Okay? I've seen a lot of people being like, Jane Elliott saying the N-word in the middle of Black History Month is not on my bingo card. It was on mine. Okay? Maybe not during Black History Month. That feels like especially egregious. But like white women taking up space and speaking over and for marginalized people about their own experiences is not new. And even white women who are allies, any black woman, any black or brown woman who has been in community with white women who call themselves allies, who are doing the work, have met a version of Jane Elliott who believes that their work and their doing the work is a license to say and do whatever they want to, and nobody's surprised. So that's thing two. And finally, thing number three, this young person who was obviously in a relationship with Jane Elliott where she was holding some sort of power. She was the person in charge, kind of like the teacher. This young person is bolder and more respectable than any other person in that room in this instance. And the fact that Jane Elliott and then everybody else like gaslit the shit out of this person is wild to me. It's like mind blown. That was crazy, because I would think that after everyone going, you said the N-word, and then this person is like, y'all all said the thing and you didn't. No, not a single one of you. So don't let one person be the speaker, especially if that person's black, especially if that person's marginalized. But yeah, like nobody's surprised that Jane Elliott is, racist and perpetuates racist ideology. But I was surprised that there was one person in a room full of people who are learning anti-racism or whatever it is that she was teaching, who like literally like lied. That was wild. So don't talk over black people. Ask us, ask the black people.
Oh, I thought you said I was going to say that. And I was going to correct you for that.
The fact that she even says that is insane. But everyone gasped. And then they went on to gaslight the one person who called her out. That is wild.
This is all I got from this video, and sincerely speaking, I didn't know how I felt first, like when I saw the video. And I was like, wait, is this woman that has really been up doing anti-racist work and all that, and also being in black spaces and getting a lot of support from black people and all that? You can never be too sure of them. And I have actually learned this from you all, because I see a lot of you say some certain things in the comment section, and each time I say, these people are unbelievable, you people are like, So I was shocked it was coming from her, and at the same time I was like, it's a palm colored person, and do not expect like that they are gonna be too nice or too great or too this and all that. You should expect some certain things, like some weird behaviors from her. And look at somebody that was in a room full of different people from different races and all that, he's talking about being anti-racist and all that, and at the same time being racist. And she went further to gaslight the young man who called her out, telling him that you did not focus on all the words that I've been talking about, but you chose, right, to focus on the other one. Like, I see how crazy, some people can be, trying to, somebody that is wrong, but then she's around to spin it all around and make it look like, and then she went further to ask them, did that bother you all, or did it is this something not nice? Are you guys uncomfortable with that? And they said no. People that are learning about so what is the essence of them coming together, right, to talk about anti-racism work and all that? And the young man actually said he has anxiety and the rest of it. And from how he was talking, you probably could see that he was already triggered, right? Because he was not having it. And he went further to talk about it. And she said, I said it for him. For real. Jane, for real. And she was the one that said that there is nothing like that. It's all human race. See, I do not trust anybody. And I want us to really understand. I want Black people to understand that we really do not have a lie. I'm sorry to say that. I am sure you all know all this before now, but we do not. We do not. Sometimes all these people that come out to talk about some certain things, if you probably get closer to them, you see how racist they are towards people that look like me, right? So I'm sorry, but I do not trust anybody. Yeah. So I'm trying to live in the moment with them. When I see you being nice to Black people, I might talk about it and say so. But I am not trusting it, because I really do trusted her so much. So much. I put I don't know how to explain it, but the level at where I kept Jane Elliott is just something really very high. Like this high standard and all that. But you all can see, it's really a mess. But that is what it is. People that deal with Black people that act like they are in support of Black people actually are not in support. So we just have to have us. Yeah. You all can see how I am really drained talking about this. That shows how disgusted I am. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.